The conference room smelled like stale coffee and broken promises. I sat across from my boss, Lauren, watching her rearrange papers on the table like she was buying time. I already knew what was coming. I'd known since yesterday when I saw my sister Simone walking out of this same room wearing a smile I recognized too well. "Ingrid," Lauren began, her voice carefully neutral. "I want to talk about the senior marketing director position." My heart was pounding, but I kept my face still. "Professional. The one I applied for." "Yes. I want to be transparent with you." Transparent. That word always preceded bad news. After careful consideration, we've decided to offer the position to Simone. The words landed like a slap. Simone, my older sister, who'd been at this company exactly 18 months compared to my 5 years, who didn't have half my experience in campaign development, who'd literally used my portfolio samples in her application. Can I ask why? My voice was steady somehow. She brought a fresh perspective, strong leadership qualities. Every word was code for something else, but I nodded. Professional. Always professional. If only they'd known what they'd just started. I walked back to my desk in a fog. My coworker Zara looked up hopefully. "Well?" They gave it to Simone. Her face fell. "What? That's insane. You built the entire digital strategy that doubled our engagement?" Apparently fresh perspective beats actual results. I sat down and stared at my computer screen. 5 years. I'd been at Kinetic Media for 5 years. I'd launched their influencer program. I'd restructured their social media presence. I'd brought in 3 major clients personally, and they'd promoted my sister who'd been here less than 2 years. My phone buzzed. "Simone, coffee later? Want to chat about the new role?" The casual tone, like she hadn't just taken something I'd earned. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up a folder I'd been maintaining for months. Project documentation, client communications, strategy decks I'd developed, email chains showing exactly who'd done what work. I'd been documenting everything, initially just for my own performance reviews. Now, this documentation had a different purpose. Simone thought she'd won. She had no idea the game had just begun. Simone and I weren't always competitive. Growing up, she was the golden child, 3 years older, effortlessly perfect, straight A's, popular, athletic. I was the quiet one, the bookish one, always in her shadow. Mom loved comparing us. "Why can't you be more like Simone?" Simone never had trouble making friends. Simone got into her first choice college. By the time I was 15, I'd stopped trying to compete. I found my own path. Marketing, digital strategy, creative problem solving. I was good at it. Really good. When I landed a job at Kinetic Media at 22, it felt like finally having something that was mine alone. Then 3 years ago, Simone's tech startup failed. She needed a job. I mentioned Kinetic was hiring. I thought I was being supportive. She interviewed, got hired, and immediately started positioning herself as the rising star. Within months, she was taking credit for collaborative work, befriending executives, networking her way up. It's just how corporate works. My friend Zara said when I complained, "You have to play the game." But Simone wasn't playing. She was cheating, using connections, using my own work, and most importantly, using the fact that no one could imagine sweet, charming Simone being anything but genuine. The announcement email went out that afternoon. Please join us in congratulating Simone Pascal on her promotion to Senior Marketing Director. Simone has demonstrated exceptional leadership and strategic vision. I read it 3 times, each word twisting the knife deeper. My phone buzzed constantly. Coworkers offering condolences in carefully worded messages. "You deserved that role. This is unfair. Everyone knows you should have gotten it, but knowing and doing something about it were different things." That evening, Simone called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. then texted, "Ingrid, please, don't be like this. Can we talk?" I finally responded, "Congrats on the promotion. Let's catch up this weekend." Professional distance. That's all she'd get from me now. I spent that night going through my documentation more carefully. 5 years of work, organized by project, client, and outcome. Clear evidence of my contributions versus Simone's. The truth was undeniable when you looked at the data. But truth alone wouldn't win this fight. I needed strategy. Simone was skilled at office politics and personal relationships. I couldn't beat her at her own game. I needed to play a different one entirely. By midnight, I had a plan. Monday morning, I requested a meeting with Lauren. She looked uncomfortable when I walked into her office. "Ingrid, I know you're disappointed. I'm not here about that," I interrupted. "I want to discuss my role going forward." She looked relieved. "Of course. I'd like to transition my current projects to Simone since she'll be overseeing the department. I think it's important she understands the strategies behind our major accounts." "That's very professional of you. I also want to focus on developing new business. I've been thinking about expanding our presence in the healthcare and nonprofit sectors." Lauren perked up. "We've been wanting to break into healthcare." "I know, and I have ideas. I'd like to work on that independently, reporting directly to you rather than through Simone." "That's unusual. It keeps things clean. Simone can focus on managing current accounts. I can focus on growth. We both contribute in our strengths." She considered this. "Let me think about it." 2 days later, she approved it. I had my independence and my own projects. More importantly, I'd removed myself from directly reporting to Simone. I was no longer competition. I was no longer a threat. I was invisible. And invisible was exactly where I needed to be. Over the next 2 months, I watched Simone struggle. The senior marketing director role wasn't just managing people and looking good in meetings. It required deep understanding of client needs, campaign mechanics, and crisis management, things she'd never bothered to learn because I'd always been there to handle the technical work. Her first major challenge came with the Preston Pharmaceuticals account, our biggest client. They wanted to launch a new drug awareness campaign. Simone presented a strategy that was surface-level pretty, all buzzwords and trendy tactics, but no substance. I watched the presentation remotely. The client smiled politely, gave non-committal feedback, and scheduled a follow-up. After the meeting, I got a call from Preston's marketing VP, Helena, someone I'd worked with for 3 years. "Ingrid, I need your honest assessment. Is Simone capable of executing what we need?" I chose my words carefully. "Simone has great creative instincts. For technical execution and strategy depth, I'd recommend strong support from the team." Meaning she needs help. Meaning complex pharmaceutical campaigns require specialists. Helena was quiet. The proposal we just saw felt disconnected from our previous work together. None of the depth we've come to expect. I'm currently focused on new business development, but I'm happy to consult on this account if it helps. Would you? Because frankly, we're concerned about the transition. I pretended to hesitate. "Let me talk to Lauren. I want to make sure everyone's comfortable with me staying involved." I hung up and smiled. Phase 1 was working perfectly. Simone was floundering, and clients were noticing. All I had to do was be helpful, supportive, and utterly indispensable. Meanwhile, I continued building my documentation. Every misstep Simone made, every client concern, every project delay, I noted quietly in my records. Not to gossip, not to sabotage, just to observe and document. The truth was, building itself. Simone started calling me for help. At first it was occasional. "Hey, quick question about the Preston strategy framework you used last year." Then it became regular. "Can you look at this deck before I present?" then desperate. I need you in this client meeting. They keep asking technical questions. I don't know how to answer. Each time, I helped. Professionally, efficiently, without judgment. To everyone watching, I was being the supportive younger sister, the team player who put company success above personal disappointment, but I was also creating a paper trail. Every time Simone asked for my help, I followed up with an email summarizing what I'd provided. Per your request, here's the market analysis framework for Preston. As discussed, I've attached the campaign metrics you needed for the board presentation. Creating documentation that showed clearly. Simone might have the title, but I was doing the strategic work. By month 3, the pattern was obvious to anyone paying attention. In leadership meetings, Simone presented polished decks filled with my analysis. In client calls, she deflected technical questions to me. In strategy sessions, she recycled my ideas from previous campaigns, and I documented everything, quietly, thoroughly, building my case brick by brick. The breaking point came in November. Preston Pharmaceuticals was launching their biggest campaign of the year. 6 months of planning, $2.3 million budget, critical for both their Q4 numbers and our agency reputation. Simone was project lead. I was consulting, which meant I was doing everything while she took meetings and sent update emails with lots of exclamation points. 2 weeks before launch, Helena called me directly. Ingrid, we have a problem. The campaign messaging Simone approved doesn't align with FDA compliance requirements. If we launch this, we could face regulatory issues. My stomach dropped. I pulled up the campaign deck. She was right. The claims we were making about the drug's efficacy were overstated, borderline illegal. Did Simone run this through legal review? I asked, though I already knew. She said she did, but our legal team is saying they never saw final approval. I closed my eyes. This was bad. Really bad. Give me 2 hours. I'll fix the messaging and send it through proper compliance channels. Thank you. And Ingrid, this can't happen again. We're questioning whether your agency is the right fit going forward. After she hung up, I sat staring at my computer. This was the moment. I could fix it quietly, save Simone, save the account, and let everything continue as it was. Or I could let it blow up and use the fallout to expose the real problem. I made my choice. I fixed the campaign. Spent 4 hours rewriting messaging, getting legal approval, and coordinating with Preston's compliance team. Crisis averted. Then I documented everything. I created a timeline showing exactly when Simone had been warned about compliance requirements, when she'd assured everyone it was handled, and when she'd actually submitted materials for review, which was never. I saved all emails, all Slack messages, all meeting notes. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. I scheduled a meeting with Lauren and our CEO, Marcus. I need to discuss the Preston account and some concerns about project management. Lauren looked worried. Is there a problem? There was. I've resolved it. But I think we need to have a larger conversation about processes and oversight. The meeting was set for Monday. That weekend, Simone called me 12 times. I finally answered. What's wrong? Preston called me. They're upset about the campaign approval process. They said you fixed some compliance issues? Yes. The messaging wasn't legally cleared. I handled it. Why didn't you tell me first? Simone, I told you 3 weeks ago that compliance review was required. You said you'd handle it. Silence. I thought you had handled it. You usually manage those details. I'm not in your reporting chain anymore. Remember? You're the senior director. Compliance on your projects is your responsibility. Ingrid, are you seriously going to let me fail over a technicality? The entitlement in her voice was stunning. I'm not letting you fail. I'm letting you experience the consequences of not doing your job. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Standing up to Simone felt foreign and frightening, and absolutely necessary. The Monday meeting was tense. Lauren and Marcus sat across from me in the conference room. I prepared a presentation. Thank you for meeting, I began. I want to discuss what happened with Preston and why it represents a larger pattern we need to address. I walked them through the timeline, showed the emails where I'd warned about compliance, showed Simone's assurances that it was handled, showed the client's emergency call when they discovered it wasn't. The campaign would have launched with unapproved claims, Preston would have faced FDA scrutiny, we would have lost the account and possibly faced legal liability. Marcus's face was stone. And you fixed this? Yes, but I shouldn't have had to. This was basic project management that should have been owned by the project lead. You're talking about Simone. I'm talking about whoever was responsible for this account. Yes, that's Simone. Lauren shifted uncomfortably. Simone is still learning the role. She's been relying on team support, which is normal. Is it normal to not complete compliance reviews? Is it normal to assure clients something is handled when it isn't? I pulled up another document. This isn't isolated. Here are 7 other projects over the past 3 months where similar issues occurred. Missed deadlines, incomplete strategies, client concerns. Every time, I or someone else on the team stepped in to fix it. Why are you bringing this up now? Marcus asked. His tone wasn't accusatory, just curious. Because we're about to lose our biggest client if this continues, and because I was passed over for this promotion in favor of someone who can't actually do the job. The words hung in the air. Lauren's face flushed. Ingrid, if this is about the promotion, it's about competence, I interrupted. I have 5 years of successful campaigns. Simone has 18 months of taking credit for other people's work. You promoted her because she's charismatic and well-connected, not because she's qualified. That's not fair, Lauren said, but her voice lacked conviction. Marcus leaned forward. Do you have documentation of these other project issues? I pulled out my folder. Months of carefully organized evidence. Emails, project timelines, client feedback, team communications, everything that showed the pattern. I'd been building this case since the day Simone was promoted. Marcus spent 20 minutes reviewing the documents. His expression grew darker with each page. This is concerning. Lauren, were you aware of these issues? Some of them. I thought they were just adjustment challenges. These aren't adjustment challenges. These are competency gaps. He looked at me. Why didn't you bring this up sooner? Because I hoped Simone would grow into the role. And because I didn't want to seem like a vindictive younger sister. But when client relationships and company reputation are at risk, my personal feelings don't matter. Marcus nodded slowly. I appreciate your professionalism. Give us time to review this thoroughly. After I left, I sat in my car in the parking lot, shaking. I'd just exposed my own sister, put her job at risk, potentially destroyed our relationship. But I'd also told the truth, and truth, I was learning, sometimes required courage that felt like cruelty. Simone knew immediately. She stormed into my office that afternoon, face red, eyes furious. You went behind my back to Marcus? Seriously? I reported project management issues that were affecting client relationships. You sabotaged me. Her voice was loud enough that people in nearby cubicles stopped working. Lower your voice, I said calmly. We're in an office. Don't tell me what to do. You've been undermining me since I got this promotion. I've been covering for you since you got this promotion. There's a difference. By documenting every tiny mistake? By running to leadership the second I need help? I stood up, meeting her eyes. Simone, you nearly cost us a $2.3 million account and exposed us to legal liability because you didn't do basic compliance work. That's not a tiny mistake. You could have handled it quietly.
I did handle it.
I fixed your mess. Again. And then I reported that we have a systemic problem that needs addressing. She stepped closer. You're jealous. You can't stand that I got promoted and you didn't. You're right. I was jealous. But that's not why I went to Marcus.
Then why?
Because you're failing, Simone. And you're so busy pretending to be competent that you can't admit you're in over your head. And that's dangerous for everyone. She stared at me, and I saw something crack in her facade. Fear. They're going to fire me. Maybe. Or maybe they'll give you actual training and support. Either way, the truth is out now. That evening, my phone exploded. Mom called, furious.
Ingrid, what have you done?
Simone called me crying.
She says you've been sabotaging her at work.
I haven't been sabotaging her. I've been documenting problems.
She's your sister. Family protects family.
Even when family is incompetent and putting other people's jobs at risk? Mom gasped. How dare you call your sister incompetent? She took a promotion she wasn't qualified for, Mom. She's been taking credit for my work for months. And then that wasn't enough. She nearly destroyed a major client relationship through negligence.
She made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes.
And I've been covering for her mistakes for 3 months. At what point do I stop sacrificing my career to protect hers? Silence. Then, she's your older sister, Ingrid. You've always been jealous of her. The old script, the familiar pattern. And suddenly, I was done with it. No, Mom. I've been living in her shadow. Being compared to her. Being told I should be more like her. And I'm done. Simone is facing the consequences of her own actions. If that makes me the bad guy, fine. But I'm not apologizing for telling the truth. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Standing up to Mom felt even harder than standing up to Simone. But necessary. So necessary. That night my younger cousin Becca texted, "Heard about work drama. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you." Someone needed to call out Simone's BS. It was the validation I needed. The investigation took 2 weeks. Marcus and Lauren interviewed team members, reviewed projects, and analyzed client feedback. Every conversation confirmed what I'd reported. Simone was good at presentations and relationship building, but weak on execution and technical strategy. Meanwhile, I continued working on my new business development projects. I'd secured meetings with 3 healthcare companies and 2 major nonprofits. My pitch was solid: ethical marketing, compliance-forward strategies, and measurable impact. I landed 2 contracts. Combined, they represented $800,000 in new annual revenue. When I reported this to Lauren, she looked stunned. "This is excellent work, Ingrid. Thank you. These are clients who value substance over flash, my strength." The contrast with Simone's struggles was obvious. While she was under investigation for mismanaging existing accounts, I was bringing in new business. 2 weeks later, Marcus called me into his office. "We've completed our review. I want to thank you for bringing these issues forward. It was the right thing to do, even though I know it was difficult." "What happens now?" "We're restructuring. Simone will be transitioning to a business development role focused on relationship building and client engagement. That's where her strengths lie. And the senior marketing director position? We're reopening it, and I'd like you to apply. Formally, with a proper interview process." My heart raced. "Seriously? You've demonstrated strategic expertise, client management skills, and ethical leadership. Those are the qualities we need in that role. What about Simone? She'll report to you, if you accept the position." The poetic justice was almost too perfect. I didn't gloat. When Simone and I passed in the hallway, I just nodded professionally. When she sent an email asking if we could talk, I suggested we meet at a coffee shop near the office. She looked exhausted when she arrived. "I assume you've heard about the restructuring." "I have. So you won. Congratulations. I sipped my coffee. This wasn't about winning, Simone.
Wasn't it?
You exposed me, got me demoted, and positioned yourself for the promotion you wanted all along. I reported serious project management issues. What happened after that was based on your performance, not my vendetta. She looked away. Everyone at work thinks I'm a fraud now. Are you?
What?
A fraud. Do you actually think you were qualified for that senior director role? She was quiet for a long moment. I thought I could grow into it. That's not the same as being ready for it. I know that now. She looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Humility. You were right. About the compliance stuff. About me being in over my head. I just couldn't admit it because I've spent my whole life being the successful one. The one everyone admires. And I've spent my whole life being compared to you. Being told I should be more like you. I know. And I'm sorry for that. I really am. It was the first real apology she'd ever given me. The business development role. I said carefully, that actually suits you better. You're good with people. You build relationships naturally. That's valuable. You think so? I do. But Simone, you can't take credit for other people's work anymore. You have to build your own track record. She nodded slowly. If you take the director role, and I report to you, that's going to be weird. Very weird. But maybe we can make it work. Professional boundaries? Definitely professional boundaries. The formal interview process for senior marketing director was rigorous. I competed against 2 external candidates, both with impressive credentials. But I had something they didn't. 5 years of institutional knowledge, proven results, and the respect of the team. I presented a 90-day plan focused on 3 areas: strengthening client relationships, developing junior team members, and expanding into healthcare and nonprofit sectors. The interview panel, which included Marcus, Lauren, and 2 board members, asked tough questions. How will you manage someone who was previously your peer and is also your sister? With clear expectations, consistent feedback, and professional boundaries, Simone has valuable skills in business development. My job is to help her succeed in that role. I'll focus on building team capacity rather than being the sole expert. Leadership isn't about knowing everything. It's about developing others and creating systems that work without constant intervention. Why should we trust you with this role after seeing what happened with your sister? Because I demonstrated exactly what this role requires: identifying problems, finding solutions, and having difficult conversations when necessary. Leadership isn't always popular, but it's always necessary. A week later, I got the call. Ingrid, we'd like to offer you the senior marketing director position. I accepted immediately. The announcement email went out that afternoon. The team response was overwhelmingly positive. Zara sent me a gif of someone doing a victory dance. Multiple coworkers stopped by my desk to congratulate me. Even Simone sent a brief message. Congrats, you earned it. It was minimal, but genuine. Progress. My first week as senior marketing director was intense. I inherited Simone's ongoing projects, which were more chaotic than I'd realized. Multiple deadlines were unclear, client expectations weren't documented, and team members were confused about priorities. I spent the first 3 days just organizing, creating project timelines, clarifying deliverables, establishing communication protocols, basic management work that should have been done months ago. My first one-on-one with Simone was awkward. We met in a conference room, both of us overly formal. So, this is weird, she said. Very weird. But let's establish some ground rules. At work, I'm your manager. Our family relationship doesn't factor into professional decisions. Understood. I'll give you clear expectations and honest feedback. In return, I need you to communicate openly and flag issues early, not when they're crises. I can do that. Your focus is on building relationships and identifying new business opportunities. You're good at connecting with people. Let's lean into that strength." She nodded. "What if we disagree on something work-related? We discuss it professionally. If we can't resolve it, I make the final call. Then we move forward without resentment. And outside of work, we figure out what kind of relationship we want to have, but that's separate from this. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start." Over the next month, I rebuilt the department's processes, restructured team responsibilities, and repaired strained client relationships. The Preston Pharmaceuticals account stabilized under clearer project management. 2 smaller clients who'd been considering leaving renewed their contracts. My new healthcare clients were impressed with our professionalism and expertise. For the first time in months, things felt under control. The real test came at Christmas. Our family gathered at Mom's house, and the tension was palpable. Mom kept shooting me disapproving looks while fussing over Simone. Dad, who usually stayed out of family drama, pulled me aside. "Your mother thinks you were too hard on Simone." "I know. Were you?" "I don't think so. I held her accountable for her performance." "That's not being hard, that's being honest." "She's embarrassed. The whole family knows about the demotion. That's on her, not me. I didn't gossip about it, but I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen." He nodded slowly. "Fair enough." At dinner, Mom made pointed comments. "Simone is doing so well in her new role. It's nice that she's finding her strengths." "It is." I agreed neutrally. Families should support each other, not tear each other down. I set down my fork. "Mom, I'm going to say this once. I didn't tear Simone down. I reported serious work issues that were affecting clients and the company. If Simone had been anyone other than my sister, I would have done the same thing." "But she is your sister." "Which is exactly why I waited as long as I did. Anyone else, I would have reported after the first month." I gave Simone 3 months and covered for multiple mistakes before saying anything. Simone spoke up quietly. "Mom, Ingrid's right. I wasn't doing the job well. The restructuring was appropriate." Mom looked stunned. "You're defending her." "I'm acknowledging reality. I was in over my head. Ingrid tried to help and I kept making mistakes. What happened was fair. It was the first time Simone had publicly admitted fault. The first time she'd sided with me over Mom's narrative. Something shifted in that moment." After dinner, Simone and I ended up alone on the back porch. "Thanks for what you said in there." I told her. "I meant it. I've been thinking a lot about what happened. And I spent so long being the golden child that I never learned how to actually fail or struggle. When things got hard at work, I didn't know how to handle it, so I faked it and hoped no one would notice. People noticed. You noticed. You gave me multiple chances to fix things, and I didn't. So you did what you had to do." She looked at me. "I'm sorry. For taking credit for your work, for not being qualified for that promotion, for all of it." "Thank you. That means a lot." "Are we going to be okay?" Simone asked. "Sisters, I mean?" "I think so. But it's going to take time, and we need to keep work and family separate. I can't be your manager and your sister simultaneously." "Fair. What about just being sisters sometimes?" "Yeah. I'd like that. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was honest. And honesty, I'd learned, was the foundation for anything real." By spring, the department was thriving. Our team had clear processes, strong client relationships, and a pipeline of new business. I'd promoted 2 junior team members and hired 3 specialists to strengthen our capabilities. Simone was actually doing well in business development. She'd brought in 2 new client leads and was building relationships with industry contacts. When she operated in her actual strengths rather than trying to be something she wasn't, she was effective. In our weekly one-on-ones, we maintained professional boundaries. She updated me on her projects. I gave feedback, and we made decisions collaboratively. It worked because we both accepted our roles. In May, our agency won an industry award for the Preston Pharmaceuticals campaign, the one I'd saved from compliance disaster. At the awards ceremony, Marcus asked me to accept the award on behalf of the team. Standing on stage, looking at the audience of industry professionals, I felt a rush of validation. This wasn't about beating Simone. This was about being recognized for actual work, actual strategy, actual results. This campaign succeeded because of strong team collaboration and commitment to excellence, I said in my acceptance speech. Great work requires not just creativity, but rigor, accountability, and sometimes difficult conversations. I'm proud to work with people who value all of those things. After the ceremony, several industry professionals approached me with interest. One was a recruiter from a major firm. If you're ever looking for a change, we should talk. Your reputation in healthcare marketing is excellent. I took her card, but wasn't interested in leaving. I'd fought too hard for this position to abandon it now, but it was validating to know I had options. Simone congratulated me after the ceremony. Nice speech. And the award is well deserved. Thanks. Team effort. Mostly your effort. I know that now. It was gracious of her to say. At the after party, Lauren pulled me aside. You've exceeded every expectation since taking on the director role. Marcus and I want to talk about your future here. We're thinking VP track. Vice President. 2 levels above where I'd started. Exactly where I'd always wanted to be. I'm interested. Good. Let's schedule time to discuss it. Walking out of the venue that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride without qualification. I'd fought for myself. I'd told the truth. I'd handled the fallout with grace, and I'd come out stronger. The VP conversation happened in June. Marcus and Lauren laid out a path. Continue excelling in the director role, take on strategic planning responsibilities, and prepare for VP of Marketing within 18 months. We see you as a future leader of this agency, Marcus said. Your combination of strategic thinking and ethical leadership is rare. Thank you. I'm committed to this. How are things with Simone? Lauren asked. Professional, effective. We figured out how to work together. That can't have been easy. It wasn't. But sometimes the difficult thing is the right thing. Over the summer, I implemented new initiatives. A mentorship program for junior staff, a client feedback system, and updated project management protocols. The department's performance metrics improved across the board. Simone brought in 3 new clients. Not massive accounts, but solid mid-size relationships. She'd found her groove in business development and seemed genuinely happy with the work. At a company happy hour in July, we ended up talking casually for the first time in months. You know what's weird? She said. What? I'm actually happier now than I was when I had your job. That director role was constant stress. Business development is fun. You're good at it. You should lean into that. I am. And you know what else is weird? I'm not jealous of you anymore. I looked at her. Really? Really? I spent so long trying to compete with you that I didn't figure out what I actually wanted. Turns out, I don't want to be a strategic genius. I want to meet interesting people and build relationships. That's valuable. Companies need both types. We're different people. That's okay. Yeah. I agreed. It really is. By fall, our sibling relationship had found a new balance. We weren't as close as we'd been as kids, but we had mutual respect based on honesty rather than competition. At family gatherings, Mom still sometimes made pointed comments, but Simone would usually defend me now. Mom, Ingrid was right about the work situation. Can we move on? Even Mom was slowly adjusting to the reality that her daughters were equals, not competitors. In October, I was asked to speak on a panel about women in marketing leadership. During the Q&A, someone asked, "How do you handle difficult professional relationships, especially when personal relationships are involved?" I thought carefully before answering. Honesty over harmony. It's tempting to smooth over problems to keep relationships comfortable, but that just builds resentment. Real relationships can survive honesty. If they can't, they weren't as real as you thought. After the panel, several women approached me to share their own stories of navigating difficult workplace dynamics with family members. "Apparently, my situation wasn't as unique as I'd thought," one woman said. "You did what I wish I'd been brave enough to do. Thank you for sharing your story." That night, I texted Simone. "Someone at the panel today said I was brave for reporting the compliance issues. Felt weird being called brave for something that felt necessary." She responded, "It was brave, I couldn't have done it." "Too afraid of conflict." "You would have if it was serious enough." "Maybe. But you did it first. That matters." It was a small exchange, but it felt like healing. The VP promotion came through in December, earlier than expected. Marcus called me into his office 2 weeks before Christmas. "We're accelerating your timeline. The board approved your promotion to VP of Marketing effective January 1st. I was speechless for a moment. Thank you. I won't let you down." "You haven't yet. Keep doing what you're doing." At the company holiday party, the announcement was made. The team's reaction was enthusiastic. Even people who'd initially been skeptical of my leadership had come around once they'd seen results. Zara hugged me. "From passed over to VP in less than a year. That's iconic. It's been exhausting. Was it worth it?" I thought about everything. The confrontation, the investigation, the family drama, the months of proving myself. Yes, absolutely yes. Simone approached me later in the evening. "Congrats on VP. That's huge." "Thanks. How are you feeling about it?" "Honestly, proud. You earned this. And it's kind of cool having a sister who's a VP. You're not bothered?" "A year ago, I would have been devastated. But I've learned something about myself. I don't actually want your job. I want to be good at my job. Those are different things." "They really are." She raised her glass. To sisters who figured out how to stop competing and start respecting each other. We clinked glasses, and I felt a completeness that had been missing for years. We weren't the sisters we'd been growing up, but we were becoming the sisters we were meant to be. Christmas that year was different. Mom had stopped making comparisons. Dad openly praised both of us for different strengths. The extended family treated us as individuals rather than as a competitive unit. At dinner, Uncle Wade asked about work. Before answering, Simone and I exchanged a glance. "We're both doing well," I said. "Different roles, different strengths. Ingrid just got promoted to VP," Simone added, "and I brought in 3 new clients this quarter. We're a good team." Mom smiled, genuinely this time. "I'm proud of both of you." It was the first time she'd said it without qualification or comparison. After dinner, I found myself alone in the kitchen with Grandma. "You handled a difficult situation with grace," she said. It didn't feel graceful at the time. Grace isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about handling conflict with integrity. "You did that. I almost destroyed my relationship with Simone. But you didn't. You forced honesty, and honest relationships are stronger than comfortable ones." She patted my hand. "Your parents compared you girls too much growing up. That wasn't fair to either of you. I'm glad you're both figuring out who you are independently." "Me too, Grandma." Looking around at my family, I realized something. The fight with Simone had been necessary. Not to beat her, but to establish that I had value independent of her shadow, that I deserved recognition for my own work, that truth mattered more than comfort. Those lessons were worth the temporary pain. Starting my VP role in January felt like beginning a new chapter. I had a corner office, a larger team, and strategic responsibility for the entire marketing department. It was everything I'd worked toward. But more than the title or the office, I had something more valuable. Respect earned through competence, not given through politics. My first day as VP, I sent Simone a message. First day in the new role, feeling equal parts excited and terrified. She responded immediately. "You've got this. And if you need business development support, you know where to find me." The message was simple but meaningful. We'd found a way to support each other without competing, to acknowledge each other's strengths without feeling threatened, to be sisters and colleagues without those roles destroying each other. Looking back at the conference room where Lauren had told me I didn't get the promotion, where this whole situation started, I realized something. If they'd promoted me that first time, I would have gotten the role, but I wouldn't have understood my own strength. I wouldn't have learned to document and advocate for myself. I wouldn't have forced the difficult conversations that ultimately healed my relationship with Simone. The path to VP had been harder than necessary, but it had taught me things I couldn't have learned any other way. If only Simone had known what she was starting when she took that promotion. If only she'd realized that taking something from me would force me to fight for it in ways that would make me stronger. And if only I'd known sooner that standing up for yourself isn't selfish or vindictive. It's necessary, it's honest, and sometimes it's the only way to build something real. That was the favor I'd returned to Simone, though she might never see it that way. I'd given us both the gift of truth, and truth, however painful, is always better than comfortable lies. That was the lesson. That was what made it all worthwhile.